All right, good morning and welcome to our Tuesday morning sales meeting here, 9:30 a.m. in the Zoom room. This is our last sales meeting of the month of January. Can you believe it? If this month went by any faster, if you blinked, you would have missed it. We are, like every final sales meeting of the month, we are doing a market center update. So not only will you hear from myself and our outstanding, hardworking, committed affiliate business partners, you will also be hearing from every member of our leadership team today. And so they're excited to bring some various updates to you from their respective domains of expertise, and are really excited to have so many of you with us for a little market center and market update this morning. First things first, want to stoke your sense of urgency. Bold kicked off last Wednesday with first step. And as is customary, there's a 1 week gap between step one and step two, because some people get this little thing called FOMO, which I believe the kids tell me stands for fear of missing out. And so if you've got a case of FOMO when it comes to Bold, you can still sign up for steps 2 through 7 by this Friday. So you can still sign up for Bold by this Friday. There are 6 more sessions. So getting to 6 out of 7 ain't bad, is I think if Meatloaf was still with us, that's what he would say. 6 out of 7 ain't bad. And so take advantage of the opportunity to still get involved in Bold. We have so many agents taking advantage of this, so many people that are going to maximize their business and take market share in this spring. Why don't you go ahead and be one of them? All right, guys, as we like to start every week, a little check-in in our mission, vision, values, beliefs, or perspectives. Today, I want to talk about one item on our belief system, and that is communication. When I break down and we get into this market update later, you're going to hear me make some recommendations that are based on the way that we and our clients are communicating and the way that the rest of the world is communicating with both of us. So we're going to really lean in to this belief of communication. And in that, we're going to seek first to understand. So be ready for that coming in just a hot second. Also, what else is coming? We had an outstanding start to the year from a training standpoint. If you haven't heard me or anyone else talk about it, our Ignite sprint that we kicked off the year with had tremendous instructors, fantastic attendance, and even better engagement. And if you missed that, or you're wondering, hey, what did Eric Akbar have to say about lead generation? What did Larry Wonky tell us about seller appointments? What did Art Oberlin say about finding those sellers? You can go back and watch it on the YouTube video. All of our trainings, everything that we do is recorded. So, I know we're get a lot of people that just tune in for this sales meeting each month. But guess what? If you missed any of the other ones, you wanted to see them, you can find them there too. So don't miss out on that. And then this Thursday, our final training of the month will be a live buyer intake presentation by Pat Barman. So Pat has one of the fastest growing businesses in our market center and has been absolutely dominating since he arrived here in May of 2020. And he's done it a lot through buyers, whether they were referrals or internet leads or any way you could get a buyer, he got one, and has a really strong intake system that allows him to work with dozens of buyers at the same time, and also prioritize who he's working with based on the immediacy of their needs and what their needs are. So he's going to walk us through the what and the why, and then we're going to see a live role play in action on Thursday. So we are sold out here. If you have a ticket and you're not planning on attending, if you signed up after the first of the year and then, oh, guess what? I got an inspection, I can't make it. Please let me or Kari Mitchell know so we can reallocate that ticket. This is going to be a really, really awesome event. We want a full room for it, and we hope that you can join us. Oh, sorry.
Also, if you were unable to get a ticket for Pat's event, if you want to be added to the wait list, so if someone can't go, please email me at karimitchell@kw.com. Also, this will be recorded, so do not worry if you did not get a ticket.
Awesome. And then, guys, with the new year upon us, and as we look back on last year, it means that it is awards season. And so we are going to be having a lot of fun together doing our awards pickup this year in both the Rocky River and Pepper Pike offices in the second week of February. Now, some of you who have been with us only about a year are very familiar with this. Those of you may remember we have done in the past a large awards night, and candidly doing a straw poll with some agents in the organization and just being considerate about everything else that's going on in the universe related to that nasty thing called COVID that's still floating around out there. We felt like this was the most responsible way to do it and still have a chance to get people together to the extent that they're comfortable, have some fun. And I'm told that 6 p.m. end time for award pickup will roll over into a little happy hour action for each side of town that week. So be on the lookout for more information. Be on the lookout. We'll be reaching out, letting you know what awards you won, checking in with when you can pick them up. And we encourage everybody to be there to celebrate other agents and hang out, network, and make the most of the event. And then finally, another plug for Family Reunion 2022. We've got several agents from our market center headed down there. Guys, there is no better opportunity if you are looking for an excuse to escape all this white stuff outside of your window. Head down to Orlando, Florida, hang out with about 20,000 other real estate agents in the Keller Williams universe for about 3 or 4 days. Mastermind, network, attend expert panels, listen to Gary Keller lay out his vision for the future of our company and the future of the real estate industry. There are few things more compelling in this world than one of these sales meetings that you're participating in right now. But I would say that listening to Gary Keller talk live is probably slightly above that. So if you are looking for an excuse to get into the room with the man himself, I strongly recommend it. It's a great time. It's worth every penny. It's a tax write-off. Take advantage of it, guys. If you have questions or want to know more about it, please reach out to me directly. I would love to sell you on this experience. All right. So now we're going to throw it over a little bit early today to our partners to get a partner update. And we are going to start with our friends, the three musketeers of mortgage, Chris, Don, and Sean from Cross Country Mortgage.
How's it going, everybody? Might just be me here.
All right. Well, you are our D'Artagnan today, so take it away.
Relatively slow news week so far. Fed meeting today and tomorrow going to give us a little more insight on where interest rates are going here in the near future. Just kind of an insight of where we are at this point. Rates are right around 3.625, 3.75. We've hit a bit of a ceiling, at least that's what it feels like, assuming, the news stays about on par to what we expect. That Fed meeting, the conference that follows, going to give a lot of insight about how the Fed is going to handle inflation here. And, it's really going to kind of tell us if the rates are going to continue to go up. Kind of looking at investor rates and where those are at the moment, right around 4.5%. In the young team meeting just before this, a great kind of topic was brought up that given the volatility of the market right now, especially the stock market, if anyone was watching the market yesterday, it was crazy. All the way down and then all the way back up. It just makes it seem like an excellent time to be investing in real estate. And all the investor rates that we see, all the investors we work with, it still just makes a ton of sense in this market to get in there and make some money.
Love that. You're absolutely right. I'm sure that everybody will be waiting with bated breath to hear what the Fed has to say about the future and about their management of inflation. And know, guys, that, and we're going to talk about it here in just a few minutes, you can navigate whatever is going to happen with some just a little bit of articulation around the relativity of interest rates for your clients. Thank you so much, Chris. Appreciate that. All right, over to Greater Metropolitan Title and Escrow. What's the latest and greatest, Jade?
Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to touch really quick. It looks like Cuyahoga County taxes are due on Thursday, the 27th, and summits are due on Monday, the 31st. And then I also just wanted to let you guys know, if you guys have not used GM Title yet, please give us a try. Write us in on your next deal. Our business is tailored to you. So if you guys have any questions on how that's done or any title questions in general, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. That is why I'm here. And I will throw my info in the chat.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. And I will echo that commentary, guys, regardless of what sort of deal you're working or what sort of issue you're having. A huge wealth of information and knowledge and resource in Greater Metropolitan Title and Escrow. And as Jade pointed out, they are custom built to serve our agents and to support our agents with their businesses. So please take advantage of the opportunity to be in a deeper and deeper relationship with them and give them a crack as your title company on your next deal.
Hey,
all right.
Mike.
Hey, and good morning, Gina. Welcome to the party. What's going on in the world of home warranty?
Good morning, everybody. I want to thank everyone that joined me last week for your first deal after hours. Great questions, good participation. What I'm hearing a lot of, Michael, is agents are calling and asking how long after someone closes can they have a warranty added. No more than a week. Would that be possible to do? Remember, if it's past a week, your client's going to pay $75 to $150 more. So super important to get them over the huddle if they are really thinking about getting a home warranty. And remember, 80% of homeowners have a major system failure in the first 30 days. That is a lot of money, a lot of things breaking. People are working from home. No better time to put a home warranty on. And if it is after a week, remember, everything would go to direct consumer to put a home warranty on through our 1-800 number. And also another question I'm getting asked a lot, is our warranty transferable? Yes, it is. It always stays with the property. You would just have to fill out a transfer form and send it directly to me. So make sure if anyone is moving, they take advantage of the transfer to the new owners and that they have the additional time that is left on the warranty. So as always, thank you guys for a great January and looking forward to seeing everybody at Bold next week. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Gina. And then over to Miss Jess Ivins with Greater Metropolitan Management.
Hey, Mike. Hey, everybody. Jessica Ivins with Greater Metropolitan Management. Just a reminder that we're here for all of your clients and you and all of your investing needs to help with property management here in Cleveland. As Chris said in his financial update, there's really never been a better time to invest in real estate, and having a great property manager as your partner is so crucial. So please, if you have any questions or if you want me to come to your team meetings, talk to you guys about property management, what our services are, our fees, how we can help you and your clients, don't hesitate to reach out to me. If you guys have any questions, I'm here to help.
All right. Thank you so much, Jess. And guys, if you have anybody who is an investor considering investing, has a property that they're moving out of, but they're not yet ready to sell, great opportunity for them to make their life easier, and maximize the earning potential of their properties to work with Greater Metropolitan Management. All right, guys, now we're going to dive into the Market Center update. I try to do a little switcheroo on slide decks, so you should see some pretty nifty Bitmoji setup there. If you don't, please yell at me in the chat, but we're going to dive right in to our February features with Kari Mitchell. So Kari, tell us a little bit about, well, tell me when you want me to change the slides. How's that?
Okay, I will be sure to let you know. Mike, you can go ahead and change the slide. We have some awesome things coming up in February. Just a heads up for everything I'm about to announce. If there is a Zoom link or registration link, it'll be sent out with the February calendar this weekend. So you will be getting that. We're not holding out on you. But the first exciting thing is going to be on February 3rd, and it's your first investment property. So this will be in Pepper Pike, and it will be a small panel of agent investors, as well as Sean Hadley, our expert lender. And they will talk about what it's like getting your first investment property and kind of some tips and tricks. So if you've ever been interested in learning more about investing, or you want to know more for your clients, this is a great course to attend. And it will also be moderated by Eric Akbar, who is our resident investor expert. So it will be a great one. There will be a Eventbrite link for this because seating will be limited. So keep an eye out for that this weekend. Mike. Next is just a reminder for Awards Day. So that will be the second week of February again on the 8th and the 10th. We're so excited to celebrate you guys. We should be sending out more direct information about that this week as well to you if you are going to be receiving an award, which we're excited for. Mike, you can continue along. So some other large events upcoming in February are going to be on Thursday, the 17th. That will be a 2-hour elective CE, and it will be about social media led by Courtney DeBarnco. That will be from 10 to noon. We'll have more details and sign up come out for that along with the calendar again this weekend. And then we are going to be also having another tech series that will be on Monday at 2 p.m. So the first week is going to be about sending out a personalized newsletter email to all of your clients. The second one will be about using your CRM and kind of becoming your own follow-up boss and best ways to make sure that you're keeping that organized. And then the last one on the 28th is about using trend graphics and how to pull those numbers for yourself and learn a little bit more about what they mean. So those will again be on Monday at 2 via Zoom. And then lastly, a huge one for this month is reducing taxes and gaining leads. And that will be taught by Eric. That has always been a huge value add for our agents, for not only you guys, but also to share with your clients. So that will be a great one, and you should not miss that. And there will be a registration link for that one coming soon as well.
All right, awesome. Jam-packed calendar for February. Tons to take advantage of there, guys, and lots of opportunities for your business and for your clients. Thank you so much, Kari. Now I'm going to throw it over to Mr. Eric Akbar, who I see right there for a little Coach's Corner action. What's going on, Eric?
Oh, not too much. Thanks so much. I have a couple of things I want to go over today. Pretty exciting things and unique things. First thing, I want everyone to be aware we're talking about this. Mike, you were talking about how quick January is going. The first quarter is going extremely quick. We're 3 weeks away, believe it or not, to the end of the first quarter. What that means is we're going to be putting us at February 15th as the end of the realtor's first quarter because we know where we're going to land, right? If we don't have a deal written by February 15th, then that's what we can count for the, if deals are taking 45 days. So I want everyone to be aware, count your your pending deals and the ones that you believe are going to be pending here in the next couple of weeks. That's about where you're going to land for the first quarter. We need to be tracking our goals, consistently. Something else that I've been for years tracking buyer seller pipeline with all these coaching clients, pending deals. One unique observation that I've noticed, our pipelines are about the same, a little bit higher for a lot of agents, yet we are seeing across the board pending deals a little bit lower. What does that mean? All I know is that means our pending deals are a little bit lower and we have to add more effort and more pipeline. Buyers and sellers, that we believe are going to transact with us in the next year. we're going to have to add more in there. I don't think it has to do with, the recent COVID breakout. That is a possibility. I think that this is just potentially a sign of the market settling down a little bit. I will tell you this, all the agents are telling me, Eric, I'm not too concerned about where I'm at right now, because even though my pendings are down, I have like 10 buyers and 10 sellers that are ready to either buy or sell. I don't want to just lean on that. I've been through great markets and terrible markets, and I can tell you we still need to figure out a way to add more pending deals as quickly as possible. Next up, I have a couple of questions for everyone tonight, or today, I should say. I'm thinking of coaching, I apologize, but a couple of things I want to talk about is I'm watching agents, especially during these snowstorms and all, get into procrastination mode. I want you to ask yourself and identify where specifically you are getting into procrastination mode and how you can come up with an action item in the moment to actually talk yourself out of it and actually get into action. Lastly is the question I have for the investing session. We have the investing session coming up on February 3rd, as Kari announced. And I want to bring out a blind spot a lot of us have. Very often I'm asking, what are the agent's goals that I'm coaching? And one of the big things I always hear is I want to pay off my house. Nothing wrong with that yet. We want further clarity. I want everyone to ask yourself, would you rather pay off your house, number one, or number two, have a passive income stream that would pay forever principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, even once your house is paid off, or buy a new house once your house is paid off? The obvious answer should be number two, yet it's counterintuitive to what we're typically taught, right? So we need to make sure that we're paying attention to that. It was very unique. I actually ran these numbers down with an agent recently, and they had a high goal of a massive income goal. And actually, once we did this exercise and they took out paying off their house and buying investment properties instead to pay off their house for eternity, they ended up actually having to lower their goal. It was a pretty eye-opening experience. But yeah, that's everything I got for everyone. Back to you.
Hey, thanks, Eric. I want to build off of. I'm going to pull forward one of my points from later on, but around that pending component. Digging into the data over the last 15 years of real estate transactions, looking specifically at the 15 to 20 timeframe, the number of deals pended, 97% of those showed up as closings, right? Now that's not one-to-one, but let's say we pended 100 houses throughout 2015, we had 97 closings, right? From a statistics standpoint. In 2021, there was 111 pending to get to 100 closed. So even what's pending, right? Because people are paying more, because they're more sensitive to, and maybe more in tune with the market, not everything that gets pended gets closed. So I want to reiterate the very valuable point that whatever you have, there's a chance that it's not enough for your goal today, and that we have to stay in activity. So thank you for that. All right. First pun of the day, MCA-nouncements with Julia Cumming.
That's the first time seeing that nice promo. Thank you, everyone. My announcement is to remind everyone about the annual board dues. I think you have heard me talk about this at length or received many emails from me, but this is something that is ongoing throughout the year. So the big deadlines for most of the boards were in January and pushed basically to the end of this week. So Medina, Lorraine, Elgar, ACAR, those are all finalizing this week. So please look out for emails from me if those are still outstanding. And I just wanted to remind everyone that with the board dues, many of you pay for half of them in January. That means that the other half is going to be due in July. And the MLS then is March and September. So it's almost like every 3 months, these continue to come up. And so I wanted to remind you about the training savings we have in the office, that you can set aside funds from your closings to help contribute towards these dues that you'll have every few months being a realtor. And that is something that we'll hold for you, and then we can deposit back to you when those are due. So it's almost out of sight, out of mind. You can take care of it from a deal early in the year, and you're set for the rest of the year for your dues. So if you have any questions about that, I will add my email to the chat, juliacumming@kw.com, and Kari as well. Both of us can help you with either of those things. So that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And great reminder on the training savings. I know you often say that real estate's a lot like the lotto. You got to be in it to win it. And if you're not staying up on your board dues or your MLS dues, then you won't have the opportunity to build that big business. So let us help you with that. Speaking of helping you, Andrew Ginter wakes up every morning hoping to do that. Andrew, what's going on in the broker world?
So this morning, my head exploded with more things I wanted to talk about than just the two I had emailed you yesterday. So first, two kind of market pieces that have been coming up a lot recently that I want to touch on and just, I guess, start to tell you how to handle. One of them is much easier than the other. But first is, we've got a lot of buyers who are reaching out to their agents who bought houses this year who got a tax bill that was for a lot more than the taxes that were prorated. Everybody needs to be aware that the seller is still responsible for those taxes. Don't be shy about reaching out to listing agents and coordinating that. Do everybody a favor and do all the math. It's easy to do. You go to the auditor's website and you look at the settlement statement and you start figuring it all out, and you figure out how many days the seller owned the house in 2021 and how much they still owe the buyer. If you are a listing agent and you get that call, you need to do everything you can to get your seller to understand that they owe them money and that the right thing to do is to pay it. Because every broker's contract is very clear that if the prorations are incorrect because of old data, that the seller agrees to make the buyer whole. And likewise, a buyer would make a seller whole, but nobody ever goes back and looks. Sellers never go back and look at old tax bills and decide that they prorated too much money. So be aware of that, because it will be coming if it hasn't come to you yet, if you sold any houses in 2021. Secondly, I've gotten probably a dozen calls about short sale problems since the end of last year. It's been a long time since short sales were a thing in the marketplace and agents were actually dealing with them. What I will say for now is I'm not going to give you a class about short sales here in this Tuesday meeting because it would be a much longer class. But at the very least, please, please, please make sure if you're writing an offer on a short sale or you are a listing agent on a short sale, anytime there's an agreement between the buyer and seller, that agreement needs to clearly state just right on the top of the contract that the entire agreement's contingent upon short sale approval, and that if short sale approval doesn't happen, that the contract is null and void. We've got people putting deals together that aren't even disclosing it's a short sale, and it's turning into a big mess. So for now, what I would say is if you've never done one before and you're about to do one, call somebody. Call me, call Eric. I know Tom Seaman knows quite a bit about short sales. Sorry, Tom. But call somebody who knows what they're doing, because you'll get yourself in a mess really fast. And it's a shame to see it happen, because a lot of times it's over a transaction that is going to turn into a nightmare anyway. We're just kind of piling on. Now on for the two things I actually plan to talk about today. First is just kind of like a public service announcement. Please, please, please stop texting for business. If you're texting to schedule an appointment with your seller, that's totally fine. If you're texting him information about an offer you received, that's a huge problem for a number of reasons. But primarily because it gets really, really hard to actually track what has happened if we have to reproduce the information. But it also creates a really big information gap. So please be careful with that. Please do not text anything other than pretty simple things that are yes and no answers. And now that information gap leads me into my last thing, which is really more of a kind of a mindset approach to how we're communicating with our clients. As we're facing decision points with our clients, it's really important that we're actually like gaming out what all the choices are for them. So the best way I could think of how to describe this was to just give everybody an example. And a simple example is just dealing with a contingency removal. So after an inspection, you're representing a buyer. You sit down with the buyer, or you get on the phone with them, and you talk through what the options are. So regardless of how good or bad the inspection went, the first thing that needs to happen is you have to just almost read them that part of the contract and tell them, okay, now that we've done the inspection, here are our choices. We can move forward as we've already agreed to. We can move forward to some kind of change based on the things we discovered at the inspection, or we cannot move forward at all. And it may have been a really great inspection and you know there's no problems. It's still super important that you describe all of those things to the client and what will happen based on which direction they decide to go. As I was thinking about it, I kind of equated my mind to like a choose your own adventure. Do not let your clients go through a transaction like a choose your own adventure book without knowing what the next adventure is going to be before they decide the adventure they're in. So that, again, if you guys have questions about that and you're not sure what the potential next hurdles are or what the potential next consequences would be, please call me. I would love to chat with you about it. And I'm hopeful at some point I can actually write some kind of class about this and we can have a real expectation setting class, because I feel like this is something we could spend hours on. But it's really important that we are thinking at least 2 or 3 steps ahead for our clients all the time. Because when we don't, what ends up happening is they end up feeling like they got burned. And when they feel like they got burned, they feel like it's your fault because they didn't have all the information.
And
So please
Andrew,
think
and just to build on that, I mean, this isn't even like, oh, it was the first time my client was buying a house. I mean, it may be somebody who bought a house 5 years ago. The world's a different place. The contingency's running, in a different cadence, and we can't assume that our client understands just because they've bought before, right?
No, and every transaction is different. Like, for instance, I'm a good friend of mine. I'm selling him his first investment property right now. This guy has owned, I don't know, 8 or 10 houses in his lifetime that he's lived in. But he's buying his first residential investment property and just making sure he fully understands what it means to buy a place where there's already tenants there, what it means to buy a property that's going to be kind of a construction project as far as how you finance that and stuff. I mean, all of these things, like we have to have the foresight to see the wrinkles, because every transaction you do is going to be different. So it doesn't matter whether they bought 1 house or 30 houses. The 31st one is going to be different. The second one is going to be different. So yeah, absolutely.
And real quick, just to clarify, I can communicate with my clients and with co-brokes via text, but that cannot be the only platform, right? I need to be following up with emails, making phone calls. I need to document this elsewhere. But like, because if I'm devil's advocate, it's like, hey, it's the only way I can get the other agent to respond. They don't pick up the call. They don't respond to emails. Do I just need to keep pounding them on those 2 mediums?
I mean, I'll tell you the best way to use text is to schedule a phone call with somebody you're having a hard time getting on the phone. So I do that a lot when I have people who just want to text a response to me. The next time I text them, I say, hey, can we get on the phone and talk about this after 3 o'clock today? Yep. And just get a time commitment from them and then get on the phone and then follow up with an email. The email is super important because when everything goes to hell and people are filing complaints or lawsuits, there's nothing like good email paper trail. And email, it clarifies everything for everybody so that you're all on the same page and there's not any miscommunication when you can do it verbally and by email. But like I said, the problem with text is it's just way too hard to track and follow up on.
Yep. All right, man. Thank you very much. A lot of good takeaways, and I think that we've got some white space on the calendar for March and April that you may end up teaching a class or 2 for. All right, and then we're going to send it around the horn. CEs with Ceara. These are good. These are good today.
I don't know who's responsible for this, Mike or Kari.
It's a good thing everybody's on mute because you would just hear raucous laughter.
This is great. Hi, guys. I am going to talk to you about CEs and your renewal. In 2022, we are making an effort to bring more CEs to the office. We did just do the CE with GM title, the fair housing, that was a core CE. So if you missed that, keep an eye out for more like that in the future. February, we have an elective one coming up with Courtney DeMarco regarding social media. I think that's the 17th. But as far as your renewals go, For anyone that's new, you do owe your first birthday renewal on your first birthday after getting licensed. It doesn't matter if you got licensed and your birthday is tomorrow. You owe $182 to the Division of Real Estate, along with your first birthday renewal form that must be completed and sent to the division with your payment. Your 20 hours is due by your 1-year anniversary of obtaining your real estate license. Your 20 hours, there's sometimes some confusion around this. It is not 20 hours of elective CE courses. It is a 20-hour post-licensure course that you will take through your real estate school. Sometimes it is in your package of classes that you sign up for. Sometimes it's an extra thing that you have to sign up for. So your best bet is going to be to check with your real estate school to find out if you signed up for that course, or how to sign up for it. And then your 30 hours are due every 3 years from the date that you got your license. If you have already done your first birthday and your 20 hours and you don't know when you actually owe your 30, or you have any confusion at all regarding your renewals, please reach out to me. I am happy to look it up for you, show you how to look it up, and get you the information that you need so that you don't miss your renewal date and get suspended. If you do get suspended on a first birthday renewal or your 30 hours, you have to pay the renewal fee, a late fee, a reactivation fee. That takes you from $182 to $307. So it's a big jump. If you do miss your 20-hour renewal, you owe that still, in addition to a reactivation to get your license back in good standing. Again, if you have any questions at all, understanding your seat or your renewals or when they're due or how to submit them, please just reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat box for anyone who may or may not have it, but you all should. And that is, also for anyone using Command, if you don't know yet, the Command app is live. So you can go into your app store and download that, and you can access your Command contacts, opportunities, your profit share, all of it in your tasks in Command Mobile. So make sure that you check that out. And if you have any questions about it, you can also email me about that.
All right, awesome. Guys, can't stress it enough. Things like ACAR dues, MLS dues, and your license is a lot like your relationship with a higher power. It's between you and them. We can't get in the middle of it, but we can help guide you there. So please, when you get emails from Julia about the MLS or ACAR, or you hear from Ceara about your license, please respond to that quickly. Those things will knock you out of business and out of contention for #1 realtor in the universe. All right, guys, we're going to bring this thing home with a little market update action, right? So we just came off a fantastic year, and I am reminded of what Eric Akbar said on one of these calls about 3 months ago, which is anytime real estate is in the news, that's a good thing. Right? Whether it's good, bad, or otherwise, when people are talking about real estate, they are thinking about real estate. And you as a realtor, when they think about real estate, you want them to think about you. So #1 thing I want you to make sure you are staying on your toes about is not being a parrot, right? Real estate is a parrot industry, right? And you could argue that most industries are, but none more so in my experience than real estate, because we are social creatures. This industry draws the most social people, and they love to talk. And somebody says inventory's low, and then the next person says, yeah, inventory's low, and oh man, interest rates are going up, and interest rates are going up. And then somebody in the news starts talking about what's going on with interest rates. And then our clients start saying it. And we're like, yeah. And then all of a sudden, everybody's talking about the same thing. without stepping back, zooming out, and really asking the question about what do all these things mean? So I'm not going to stand here and tell you that inventory is not low, and I'm not going to tell you that interest rates aren't going up. What I am going to tell you is that those things are all relative, and that those things without context don't actually mean anything, right? It's like if I told you that the average temperature in the United States on every single day was 72 degrees, which it is. Today, it's 71 degrees, average temperature in the United States. That doesn't mean anything if I don't know where I am, where I'm going out, what am I going to walk out into, right? Because it might be 90 in El Paso, and it's certainly not 90 here. So we have to be careful around falling into the parrot traps. So make sure that when you hear things from your clients, when you hear things from other realtors, you're asking good questions, you're doing research on the topic, which being here today is part of that research on the topic. And then finally, use anecdotal evidence, right? Because the truth is somewhere between the last house that you sold and the aggregated data from the National Association of Realtors, right? That one experience and the aggregation of all experiences, neither of them are the truth. There's polarities in there, but it's really important that we be thinking in terms of context and narrative as we think about the market. So the first thing that we've heard a lot of is that the market is cooled off, right? The market is cooling off, and that we are, you look at the news and they'll say, home prices down 10, or not home prices, home sales down 10% to start the year, right? So in the month of January, in our markets, home sales, number of closed units is down 8%, which is a fact, and we're going to look at that. But when somebody says like, "Hey, hasn't the market cooled off? Like, aren't we? Isn't the opportunity to make a lot of good money in real estate? Isn't that over?" You ask questions. Just start at what makes you say that. Does it feel that way to you? Right? Think about how many new neighbors you got in the last 3 months. Right? You feel like that's cooling off, and ask where you heard that. Maybe they heard it from another realtor. Maybe they heard it from the news. Maybe they heard it from their brother, who's a mortgage loan officer, right? Maybe his new files are down. Maybe he's not Sean Hadley, so he doesn't have a big business like Sean. Who knows? We have to contextualize this, and then we need to understand where the facts are, right? So as somebody who spent the majority of my life, didn't have a lot of friends as a kid, so I played with numbers. And so we're looking at the solds for our market over the last 14 or 15 years, right? So does it look like the market is cooling off? We just had back to back best years ever in the number of sold units and the amount of sold volume and the average sales prices of homes, right? The growth over the last 3 years rivals anything that hasn't happened or that has happened outside of the great financial crisis and the following recovery, right? And so there's nothing to say that this trend won't continue, right? It may not build as much, but we are not going back to a 2010, 2011 world, right? If you look at January's, remember, I told you January sales were down 8% month to date. This is the same time period, but only looking at closings in January. Now, what's interesting about last year's January? It's the largest January in the history of real estate, right? So as I mentioned, the context is really important. Being down 8% in January 2022 means that you're still about plus 4 or 5% on where you would have been in 2020, right? Now, January of 2020 was pre-pandemic. So as crazy as it seems that the market, oh my gosh, we've had 8% fewer closings in the first 21 days of the year. right? Better dust off that resume, guys. No, we're still operating in a very active, very successful, more lucrative due to the increase in home prices market, right? So when we hear XYZ is down ABC percent, we have to know what we're dealing with. And the fact that we were at a tippy top of history for January last year, if I would be more concerned if the closings weren't down, year over year. I would be more concerned if they were plus 10%, right? Because of our current inventory position, which we're going to talk a little bit about next. But first, you're going to hear people talk about how interest rates are gone up. So I've got this graph here. This is the interest rates over the last 700 years, right? So maybe not the most relevant context, going all the way back to before the Magna Carta, or before Columbus even got on his boat. But it's important to understand that the trend line is that interest rates are going down. And yes, while interest rates have gone up recently, there is an expectation that they will go up more. So when you're talking to a buyer or seller and they say, interest rates back up to 3.5%, well, let's just get dialed in on what the best rates in history were back in, the 1950s, or, hell, back in 1990, what were they? And let's put things in context. So what does a change in rate mean to your clients? Right? So this is just some hack graph looking at your interest rate, your monthly payment against a specific loan amount. So if I jump a whole point, right, on a $500,000 loan, I'm adding about $250 a month to my monthly payment, right, over a 30-year mortgage. And you're going to want to build your own. And the truthaboutmortgage.com doesn't seem like the world's most reliable website, but it's where I could get the graphic this morning. It's important to help your clients understand this because we just heard Andrew tell us about all this crazy stuff going on with tax rates, right? And what's happened there. And so while your clients are really concerned about this, 0.25% of interest rate fluctuation, right, plus or minus in the next 30 days, the impact of that quarter of a point is going to be muted by the fact that depending if they live in one city or another, if they're looking in multiple cities, their tax profile is going to be larger or smaller respectively, right? And so helping them understand the total package. And yeah, I'm sure that somebody on the news is going to talk about how interest rates are up 50%, or they're up 100 or 1,000 basis points on the year. Those things don't mean anything if they're not put in context. And this is where great buyer consultations, #plug for Pat Barman on Thursday, will allow you to understand what the capabilities are, what the motivations are, and what the needs are of your clients, so that when you talk to them, one, in the buyer consultation, you're letting them know that they haven't locked an interest rate today, so the numbers we're talking about today might not be there by the time you close on the loan. And here's the expectation based on the expert advice of our mortgage partners, is that we're expecting A, B, and C to happen over the course of the 9 months. Right? You think interest rates have gone up a lot now, you might be begging to get a 3.5% in 12 months if you're going to wait on the market. So understand those numbers when you get into that conversation, because even if your client doesn't remember the difference between 3% and 3.5% as you break it down in their monthly payment over a 30-year mortgage, they'll understand the way you make them feel when you talk confidently about the impact of those changes on their purchase power. And then the ultimate question of, I've got nowhere to go. You're going to run into this a lot. And this is where I'm going to get out over my skis a little bit. I'm going to hit you with a little bit of conjecture and opinion. This is not to go take out there and put in a listing presentation and said Mike said it was so. However, if you look at the same time period that we've been looking at, the last 7 years, right? From 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, we listed 75,000 homes on average every year. In 14, we were 74,000. In 15, we were 76,000. And then the next 4 years, we listed the same amount of homes as a market. In 2020, we listed 70,000 homes. I don't know what happened in 2020 that would have led people to not list their homes during the most important time to list your home, which is in the spring. I don't know what happened in the spring of 2020, but something happened that led 5,000 fewer homes to hit the market. And you see last year that we picked up just a little bit more from that base of 70,000. We were at about 72,000 new listings last year. Now, here's my expectation. As crazy as things are, the pandemic is moving into its third year, and the confidence of individuals to re-engage with some aspects of life unadulterated is happening more and more. My expectation is, and I'm taking the data, the trend lines, the missing 5,000, now 7,500 listings over the last 2 years, and I'm taking the anecdotal evidence that I have from my conversations with agents. And I haven't met an agent who's been in the business more than 18 months that doesn't have 5 or 6 listings coming in the next couple of months. I think that we are going to see an influx of inventory from March to May that will rival anything that we've seen before. I think that if any impact of interest rates knocking buyers out will balance the market, it will be hyper competitive. It will be very difficult. It will be even more competitive than it was last year, but there will be more opportunities and more consistent opportunities. And I feel as though as we move through the spring market, there will be an opportunity, even greater opportunity than there was last year, and we'll have the chance to accrue some inventory to help eventually balance the market. We are at nearly an all-time low in inventory right now, but I also want you to know that the average starting inventory per month in 2021 was about where we're at today. It was only about 500 units on average higher. So keep in mind that, you've made it through this. And I think that you're going to have more opportunities for your sellers to buy and for your buyers to buy, which means your sellers get to sell. I think that there's going to be a huge jump ball of inventory coming in the, from March 1st to June 1st. And I think that if we're well positioned, strong buyer consultations, strong listing pipeline, lots of opportunity for us to go out there and make hay while the sun's shining. And then finally, where do I get all this data, right? It's not just me out there knocking on doors. Kari mentioned that one of the parts of our tech series for February, as we looked at this tech series, we said, yeah, technology is cool, but sometimes we just talk about technology for the sake of technology. I really want to get into like, what is this thing and how does it impact your business? So the opportunity to really dial in the context for your clients comes from 2 resources. One that you guys know and use every day, the multiple listing service. But the other one's Trend Graphics. So everybody in our office has access to Trend Graphics. There's the website, there's the username, there's the password. I'm going to do a session at the end of February on how to use this to really, really understand at a super high level what's happening. And my recommendation is always start with the market as a whole. That's what I talk about, because we've got people that are as far west as Toledo and as far east as Youngstown, as far south as Canton, right? So the market is really the context. But then if you grab that, zoom in, what's the zip code or what's the city that you're most interested in? And then once you have that, you're dialing in through the MLS, your comps for that street, or that specific development, right? But when you can take somebody through the funnel and provide all the context all the way along, it'll be the most powerful conversation they ever have with a realtor, right? You know, about 78% of people list with the first realtor they meet, right? The other 22% aren't, the 22% that don't list with the first person they meet, they're not doing it because they want to. It's because they didn't get imbued with confidence from that first conversation. So being first is important, but being good is even more important. So this data is going to help you and is going to help you better understand what's happening. And yeah, if you've been in the business for 6 months, guess what? You got 15 years of data, right? Now, I wouldn't recommend doing what I do, but like, don't feel like just because you weren't there this time last year, you can't build a story. And I'm going to help you do that. But guys, really important from as we wrap here, as we land the plane, don't be a parrot. I think it's a really important thing to think critically for yourself and for your clients, right? Is the things that they're going to hear, like sales are down in January. You know, if you say good, they should be. I mean, they'll go cross-eyed. Why would you say something like that? And then you can explain with context, and now you're educating them, right? Telling isn't selling, but telling a good story sure is. Now, as everybody loves, you know, we're gonna rework some of these graphs. I appreciate the people who called out in the chat that I obviously made these graphs myself. Super dynamic, right? But we also have some awesome stats and window dressings for your listing presentations, right? What good is being a part of the #1 office in the MLS and the only $1 billion office in Northeast Ohio if you are not going to take that information and let your clients know that when you go to sell their house or you help them buy a house, that you are doing it with the full backing of over 450 agents. So you may be familiar with this statistic or the fact that we are #1, but we're also going to throw in a little bit of comparisons, right? Somebody who's working for the #5 brokerage in Northeast Ohio is selling, you know, about 60% of what we are, right? So, you know, those gaps are big when it comes to that. And the same goes for listings sold, right? We are in a market and we have competitors who shall forever remain nameless, who see value in taking the listing more so than selling the listing. And so they will take it at any price, and know that when we get into relationship and we start to work with somebody to sell their house, by God, we do it more so and more frequently than anybody else in Northeast Ohio. So all of these are going to be hitting your inbox along with some other information and some other reminders today. If you ever have questions about how to leverage this, where it goes, how to use it, any of the things that I talked about today, if you think I'm wrong about anything that we talked about today, let's have a conversation, because that's the sort of thing that's going to make us all bigger, faster, and stronger, help us sell more homes, and help you all have the best year yet, which I am firmly in the camp that 2022 will look really good for our team here at Keller Williams Greater Metropolitan. That's all she wrote, guys. It's the bottom of the hour. You've got homes to list and homes to sell. So I'm going to let you go do it. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And we will see you next week, same time, same channel. Have an awesome, awesome, awesome day.